The Speaker, House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has said that more than 75% of goods offloaded in the Benin Republic ports are bound for Nigeria, blaming inefficiencies and high costs at Nigerian ports. Abbas stated this when he received a delegation from the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, according to a statement by Musa Krishi, his spokesperson. According to him, Nigeria is losing massive revenue to its West African neighbors due to persistent administrative and regulatory bottlenecks at the nation's ports and border posts. On Signature Business this evening, we have on standby on Zoom a financial analyst, Dr. Ajen-Alamonia Ibieneye, and we are going to have a conversation with him on Nigerian ports and ease of doing business. Dr. Ibieneye, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure.
Nigeria, for as long as I can remember, struggle with the ease of doing business. It's become a rhetoric. All the time we get to hear about it, about the government's efforts to ensure that Nigeria returns to a place or returns the various cities in the country as a place, places for ease of doing business. But then it's looking like exportation and importation does not have do not have smooth running in the country, and that could be as a result of certain challenge or certain challenges. And so, Dr. Ibieneye, what are those challenges that the ports in Nigeria, various ports in Nigeria, face in terms of ease of doing business?
Well, if you look at it, you'll find out that there are ample of them. One is to regulate the port, see how goods and services are rendered stress-free, how to also improve the technological situation of the port. But as the case is, it's not really the position. Like you just read on the news, you would have found out that Benin Republic, although is one of the West African countries, and it is also important that we must not forget that everything we do, we must have the spirit of bringing or ensuring that Africa is one. So if in the case of the ports, where you have this shortfall, goods are there, you pass through a lot of bottleneck to have your goods, if especially in cases when you're importing. When the goods get to the port, for individuals or business owners or organizations to have their goods is actually an issue. And that's why you find out that the port is always a place where you have all manner of complaints and discomfort.
Ibieneye, to what extent does what role does corruption play when it comes to clearing of ports, clearing of goods for the aid of business?
Corruption could be seen in various lights. One, when goods are sent to the airport in terms of importation, you agree with me that they need to clear up those goods. For those goods to be cleared up, they need to pass through processes. These processes, some of the staff, we would not say it's all, some of the staff tend to use it as a medium by which they want to enrich themselves. Now, if, for instance, the goods is to be cleared at a certain port. The officers there wants to use, apart from the fact that they are being paid salaries, they also want to see that they make ends meet. This is why you find out that goods are being smuggled. Goods are smuggled in and out of the country, because when they tend to collect, they don't want it to pass through the normal regulation that will enhance or enable citizens or business owners to have their goods stress-free. If a goods is, for instance, a certain item or commodity is imported, the person importing expects that there should be a laid down procedure how you move to get clear your goods at the port. But what you get is different, because in fact, at every point in time, you have to move, and it's very frustrating. Now, this is one thing that would have enhanced the nation, to look at the technological process that will also erase, or if you like, to a large extent, take regulate the level of corruption. The corruption you see, it is not, to me, I don't even see it as corruption. I see it as tyranny. They force you, or they compel you to pay and to clear up your goods, which ordinarily shouldn't have been. The government should be um, a body that creates an enabling environment for citizens, or maybe business owners, or those persons that deals with import and export. Now, if you don't have this being placed in check, then it's a problem. If you go to the ports, you find a lot of goods uncleared, and it means that the government of the day needs to do a whole lot. They need to do a whole lot. And then one of the ways to regulate it, or maybe to take care of it, is to improve the technological process in the system. Sometimes it could be done in a manner where you sit at the comfort of your home and clear your goods, as long as you have whatever it entails to clear up that goods. If there are situations where the
Can I
goods,
have your
they are
attention,
contraband.
please?
Yes, hello?
We will get to the point where we talk about some of the things that could be done to enable efficiency, improve the efficiency
Okay.
in Nigerian ports. But there
Okay.
is something. Distractions have been recorded in global supply chains. So apart from the infrastructural deficit in the ports, in the various ports,
Okay.
do you think that these distractions have effect on the functionality of Nigerian ports?
Yes, a whole lot. A whole lot. Like what I was saying in essence is that for you to have a smooth run, there should be a structure. There should be a structure. If you have, for instance, you have an office, and the office, the mechanism to run that office is not there. It's actually, um, to a large extent, an opportunity of grooming corruption, or making sure that people don't, you don't have a normal, regular process in the system. So it's a major problem. One thing that the government would have done is to make sure that these structures are there. And in ensuring that it is there, it should be technologically driven.
Apart from this infrastructure, there's global supply chain effect. That's what I'm asking. If that also affects the functionality of these airports, looking at
No,
the international scene.
uh, good. No, what I'm saying is that, one, if in terms of business and structures, in fact, when you're doing well, it attracts other global phenomenon to also rely on that structure. Now, if you look at it from this point, that maybe from external influence on the business or on the port, you cannot say so. First, the nation should be able to create that enabling environment and then begin to look at the external influence on how to regulate it. Again, it could be used as a means of generating revenue. That same source, if most persons, someone complained recently that a goods that was sent from UK that took them less time was taking them longer time to move it from Lagos to Port Harcourt. And you can imagine that there is no way you look at it and you begin to think that it's a global phenomenon. It's not a global phenomenon. I believe that it is internal. And so the government of the day should ensure that those structures to enable individuals or bodies, group of bodies to clear their goods is being put in place. If that is not done, it's like shifting the goalpost. Globally, you have situations where some persons would want to, that is like when you look at bilateral trade and you look at international politics, they want to ensure that they regulate what happens in your country port. And this is when your reliance is based on them. But Nigeria is an independent nation and should come up with strategies, to make, of course, if you do business and the business you're doing is stressful, people would definitely want to look at easier means of having that business done, which you cannot rule out that internationally people could infiltrate that to see that your ports don't function efficiently. But it's not, to me, it's not an excuse. The government of the day should put what do you need? You need maybe basic infrastructures, you need the manpower, you need the technological drive. Even if there is no idea technologically, you should be able to at least train your staff, engage them to be technologically enlightened. So I don't think that it is the global influence that affects it. Rather, internally, there should be the will to correct these abnormalities at the ports should be the first and basic drive. I think that would take care of that.
Okay, even a doctor, what impact has the introduction of electronic call-up system and port automation had on the turnaround time for goods?
It has a lot because one, it will regulate. You could actually, if it is done efficiently, you could actually see how transactions or how goods are being brought and how they are being cleared. It will be a straitjacket. But the question here is that what is happening in the port? Why is it that it is not happening that way? These are issues where some government officials, sometimes before they are even given these positions to be in the office, they already have means by which it's like an assignment given to them. They are like cash cows. They are like cash cows. And as they go there, they tend to make money. As they are making money for the person that maybe gave them the appointment or the job, they are also thinking of enriching themselves. So the process is jeopardized. And they must, from start to finish, must be technologically driven. If it is done that way, it will be easier to identify where the shortfalls are and where you now have people trying to introduce corruption and to take care of goods that ordinarily they will clear. Now, as a matter of fact, you find out that some persons get really frustrated. In fact, they have real issues because where they have goods, goods, and maybe their customers or their clients are waiting for them to deliver these goods, and the goods are not coming forth. It makes them lose, even in the market. So the idea of the process not working is not a welcoming situation at all. It should work. If it is in place, it should work. And focus on why it is not working should be given.
Dr. Ajen-Alamonia, there's been concessionary processes in the past of the port authority, of the various ports. In fact, specifically speaking, Apapa ports, Tinkan ports in Lagos State. How do you see privatization of Nigerian ports on one hand, and just partnership between the private sector in efficient running of the ports?
Yes, okay, we'll look at first. Let us look at the privatization. If we go into privatization, it is in a way, government doing business. Government is not always efficient in doing business. But when it is being privatized, it means that they have shares, but they don't solely run those businesses. Now, when private sector are there to run businesses, it is profit. It is how to maximize profit that they are in. Now, if you look at the Nigerian standard, you cannot continue to drain the masses. That's why the government should create an enabling environment, and the point where partnership comes in. In partnership, you'll be able to see that, one, if the citizens or the business owners are there to run their business at the port, they should not be paying through their nose, where staff or maybe officers will be there trying to make them pay through their nose. No, the partnership should be drawn. The government should look at taxes, for instance. How much does it take to clear goods? They should look at regulating it and to see that it is not exorbitant. But once you look at it and you begin to say you want to privatize it, once you privatize it, these persons solely determine the market. And the market is a place where they want to make profit. In making this profit, you don't give them a yardstick to run the business because you have sold it. It's like, for instance, properties or maybe a house. You want to sell your house. If you sell this building to someone, you no longer have powers or authority over that property on how to run that property. You don't. If the property, there are clauses they put alongside the properties that makes the property owner still have interest or maybe still have shares or input on it. There are also clauses that automatically rules the person or the owner out of it the moment it is sold and transaction is completed. So if the government is going into privatization, it should be in a manner, if it is going into the hands of the individual, who are the people that has the money to even buy those properties? We are looking at, or maybe having shares at the port. We are looking at a situation where you have over 90% of the citizens of this country as extremely poor, looking for means of survival. So those persons that would, if you privatize it, the people that will still have shares or being owners of it are still people that are already rich or have the financial strength. In terms of partnership, how do you partner? How do you partner with these people? Are you going to tell the people that you should come and clear your goods without paying? No. So vis-a-vis, if you look at it, is to drive to the point where you try to minimize the taxes that are and the level of corruption that revolves around the port. That will take care of it. So either of the ways If they want to, like I said, in terms giving references like properties, even if they want to privatize, the government should be part of it. There should be a clause where they would those who are patronizing the port or doing business in the port would not be paying so much to the point that they will be taxing or increasing the price or the commodity of what the citizens are trying to, as end users, trying to make do from goods from the port.
All right, Dr. Ibieneye, still on this matter, there is the corruption issue that we were talking about. Are there measures you could suggest that will enable? Okay, let's even look at the various delays. Some persons have shared their opinions on that, and they argued that some of these delays are as a result of people trying to, do a backyard business, collect money before unofficial money that was not the order of the day, trying to cause delay so that people will pay demurrage. How can some of these corruptions be hindered? I'm sure you have heard about the delays in clearing goods at the ports.
Yes. Like I said, I would want to say that those delays are intentional. They're intentional because as long as those delays are there, that's how they make more money, ill-gotten cash from the system, where they used to pay some of the persons that would have given them those jobs. Now, why on earth, what is difficult? Why can't the port run a technological process? If a goods is coming, at least what could even amount to delay is to ensure that goods that are coming in through the ports are not contraband goods, are not illicit drugs. They are not things where people are bringing in firearms, illegal firearms, and all of those stuff. Now, if it is technologically driven, you will see that no matter the amount of goods in the ports, clearing them should not take more than 24 hours. It shouldn't take more than 24 hours. If it takes more than 24 hours, I am saying that it is intentional. If it is not intentional, then why is the government not applying the technological process in handling these issues? For instance, if somebody is importing, look at the kind of things that they import. Maybe bags, shoes, clothing, maybe cars and all that. What stops the country from even producing those goods here? When you know that you have the labor force, you have the manpower. Now they use this bottleneck since they are in office now, they could appoint somebody who will be at the port. They can put one or two people there. These people are the people who regulate the port and then see how things are run on daily basis. If they delay your goods, and when customers, people who have paid you for their goods are now beginning to give you unnecessary stress as a result of it, you will be forced to ensure that you want to give them what they demand. That's what some persons see as the corruption. So they don't have, to me, it is intentional. And they will hide under the guise that the structures are not there. What is stopping the structure? Why won't the government ensure that those structures are in place? What do we call structure? If, for instance, you have a product, maybe goods or commodity, sent to the port, and these things are imported, or maybe someone who is doing business, you already know that if goods are there, certain goods A, B, C is there, the person who is importing these goods, all you need to do is to ensure that there are mechanisms to ensure that the goods that are coming in are not contraband goods. If these goods are at the port, maybe you want to verify, believing that external influence, maybe some persons should have tried to maneuver and to bring some certain things, so you want to ensure that those goods are clear. you should be able to put things in place. So the moment those goods are there, they are able, you could check them. Is it that they are lacking manpower at the ports? What's actually the situation? Why would you want to ensure that you hold people to ransom and then to squeeze them to get things from them? That's not how the Nigerian ports should run. It's wrong and should be
Okay, let's
discouraged.
even look at some of the policies and reforms, especially recent ones. That and let's look at them and see how much of those policies and reforms have been implemented in running efficient ports in Nigeria.
If you look at those, there are a lot of them, including the technological aspect that we're discussing. There are a whole lot of them. But why is it that it's not working? That's what we're saying. There are a whole lot of them trying to ensure that there is one policy or the other, trying to make sure that goods are cleared quickly. People don't spend so much time at the port, and when it's stress-free. And it's also a means where the government also generates revenue and things are done properly. But if this is not the case, after these policies are there, it means that there is an interest. And the interest is that things should remain the way it is. If things are the way it is, it will continue to run
Want of time.
as it is.
As we conclude, I know that what we're talking about is ease of doing business. There is something very important when it comes to efficient ports operation in Nigeria. I'm familiar with Apapa ports. And so I remember back in the day, I don't know about today, how bad the inlet roads to the ports are. I don't know if that has been handled, but you recall that there have been cases of accidents of vehicles toppling and blocking the road, or you see a long number of vehicles, to the point of gridlock into the ports of the ports itself, the center.
Yes.
How much does that obstruct business? We are talking about ease of doing business. How much does that affect business running, especially those who deal on imported goods?
Adversely, it's affecting adversely. You would not, in fact, the rate at which it is affecting other road users, other business owners cannot be overemphasized. Now, for instance, if you have to pass through the road that leads to the port, and you have other persons who are dealing in the port, and because of the traffic, or maybe what it entails in clearing goods, because that is what causes the traffic there. Apart from that, bad roads, the ports you see generate billions. It's something that deals with billions, and yet the roads to the ports are always not convenient. It is always a bottleneck. Sometimes you have series of potholes. Some of these trucks, sometimes they are for them to turn. You don't even have enough space. So I think that the structure, like I said, the structure should be there. If, for instance, you want to cite a certain business, and you're going to build a skyscraper or maybe high-rise building, there should be a commensurate parking space. It should be properly planned. Let's look at it and say, maybe when these ports were built, when they were sited, maybe they didn't envisage that the population will get to this level. And they didn't know that maybe there will be a lot of delays at the port to cause that. And now it is happening. Does it mean that we'll move like that? No. Now, one of the things to take care of that is to ensure that the system is technologically driven. You know the number of goods that are coming, when the goods will step in, and when it will entail for the goods owner to clear their goods. Now, nobody would want to waste time doing those things when they know that there is demurrage. They have to pay every day their goods is there, they are paying. Nobody wants to spend time and also spend their cash. So the government should ensure that those roads, in terms of infrastructure, they should ensure that those roads are spacious enough. There are no potholes. The number of cars that will be coming to clear their goods, one, they can also regulate it. If a goods is coming
All
on
right, thank
Monday,
you
a
very
certain
much,
goods is
Dr.
coming. Yes.
Ajen-Alamonia Ibieneye, for your wonderful contribution to our subject matter for Signature Evening on Business Story, Nigerian Post and Ease of Doing Business. Dr. Ibieneye is a financial analyst. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.